New Year's Eve. It took 5 days for the BBC to start reporting on it. But New Year's Eve, 100 women. Some of them raped, some of them robbed, some of them scarred for life after firecrackers were stuck down their tops. One girl had her knickers ripped off her as she walked through the city centre. So, by a group of 1,000 men. 1,000 Arab Muslim men who are refugees. The police officer on the scene, who 8 of them were arrested, said they were refugees. Okay? But yet now, the German politicians and the press are coming out saying, we have no idea who they are. I'll put this article up there, yeah? They have no idea who it is, but it's not refugees. Well, if you don't know who it is, how do you know it's not refugees? It's Arab Muslim men. And what we've found out now is that this didn't just happen in Cologne. It happened in Stuttgart. It happened in Frankfurt. It happened in Dusseldorf. It happened across Germany. And I'd like to say it's not just Germany. It's like 100 women, 40 women in Stuttgart, terrorised. And Germany are coming out and their politicians are saying, we're shocked at what has happened. Shocked? Why are you shocked? Well, everyone's been telling you what's going to happen. They're coming from countries where if a woman commits adultery, they dig a hole in the floor and smash rocks at them. They believe in their own countries that their own women are property and they're allowed to beat them. So why are you shocked when they come to our countries, yeah, when you invite them, Angela Merkel, into our countries, you invite aggressive, young Muslim men into our countries and they act, this is the most frustrating thing, you give these men clothing, you give them housing, you give them food, you give them shelter. We are paying for that. Well, you give them everything they need. And they go out and they mob up and they attack women. They attack dozens and dozens of women on New Year's Eve. They beat them, they rape them and they rob them after everything that's been done. Why are they doing that? They're doing that because they're already taught that that women are second rate, but our women, non-Muslim women, are scum. They're prostitutes, they're slags. You've invited these people with this mindset and this hatred towards our countries and our women, and where are the feminists on this issue? 1,400, and look across what's happening, 1,400 girls in Rotherham were raped by Muslim men. Across Europe, Sweden has the second highest rape rate in the world. Sweden, Malmo, blonde-haired women are dyeing their hair black because they're being dragged off the street and beaten and raped. In Oslo, 100% of the violent rapes in 1 year were Muslim men. 90% of all the rapes in Oslo that year were Muslim men. That means if we didn't invite Muslims into our country, there would have been no violent rapes in Oslo that year. Okay? So when Donald Trump makes statements like he says, there are reasons. And as we can all see now, with what's happening in Cologne, it frustrates me so much because we've been trying to warn this. I believe that one of the victims who's been attacked by 30 Muslim men, she said her and her friend were surrounded by these Muslim men who groped and ripped and abused her and sexually abused her. She was one of the people welcoming the refugees. Wake up. To understand, you have to understand the mindset and the ideology and the countries these people are coming from. You don't see a woman in these countries. You do not see women. It's just men. They're forced in the house. When they do come out of the house, they're covered from head to toe in tents. You don't see them. And then all of a sudden you bring them men into our westernised countries and you let them loose on the streets. And then you start scratching your head when they're acting like animals, raping our women. It's a high time that Europe wakes up. The main reason why we're trying to prevent, and if I sound angry, I'm passionate about this issue, we're trying to prevent this happening. This is coming to the UK. In fact, it's already come to the UK. One English girl has been raped already by 5 Syrian refugees. We've had Syrian refugees blowing themselves up and killing 130 people on Paris. The blood's on all your refugee welcomes hands. It's not on our hands. We're trying to warn and foresay and say what's going to happen. The next year, the EU predict up to 3 million more Muslim men are coming to our continent. We have to wake up. This has to stop. And if it's going to be happening, people have to show a resistance to it. Pegida have been doing that. Angela Merkel says that Pegida have hate in their hearts. Angela Merkel has hatred in her hearts. Hatred in her hearts for our culture, for German people, for her own race. She has hatred in her hearts. It's her fault. All these women who have been attacked, that's her fault. It's her government's fault. And what's the local mayor's solution to this? To start telling women that they have to cross the road if they see a man. Well, that's not how Europe works. That's not how it's going to work. Women should not be... The German officials now coming out saying that Cologne city centre at night is a no-go zone for women. Why? Well, because you've invited all these hostile Muslims into the country who want to attack them under the guise of diversity. It's insane. It's insane. And so, I'm sorry if this is going on as a rant, but everyone has to start waking up. You can't talk about humanity. I had women say to me, it's a humanitarian crisis. Yeah, well, my humanity stands with European women who are going to fall victim and be raped across Europe, like war booty. Because that's what happens, you see, when Muslims go to war. That's what's happening with ISIS. That's why Yazidi girls are being taken slaves, because they're allowed to. It's all justified 14 times by the Quran. They can take non-Muslim, whatever the right arm possesses, they can take non-Muslim women as sexual slaves. That's what's happening in Germany. That's what's happening in Rotherham. That's what's happening in Malmo. That's what's happening across Europe. Okay? We need to get organised. We need to get organised in Germany. We need to get organised. We need to get organised. We need to all organise. It's no good. If you're sitting here, you're watching this and you feel as angry as me and frustrated as me, there's no point in not doing anything. All we're asking as organisations, there's many organisations now like Pegida across to Europe. Every country's got a representative organisation. All we're asking is you stand with us. You walk with us in silence. You show that you're against what's happening. Because we have to show we're against it. Because our politicians are not stopping it. The police. Did the police stand up and protect the women in Cologne? No, they didn't. They didn't. They stayed away. They stayed away. How could the police deal with a mob of 1,000 young Muslim men? That's 1,000. Angela Merkel, you've let in 1 million. You've let in 1 million. 1 million men from not even from war-torn countries, Afghanistan, Iraq, Pakistan. Look at the mindset, look at the views, and look at the way they treat women in those countries. You've invited that, knowing full well, prior to them coming in, you've known full well what their views are on women. You've known full well what their views are on homosexuals, after one of them was kicked to death, I believe in Denmark, by them. You've all known full well. You can't pretend you don't. If you're opposed to it, you want to show a resistance. We're not asking you to go out and fight. We're not asking you to go to jail. We're not asking you. We're willing to take the flak. We're willing to take all the heat. All we're asking is you walk with us. Walk with us on the 6th of February. Walk with us in Birmingham. Walk with us in Germany. Walk with us in Holland. Walk with us across Europe. Just join us and show a position and join the resistance to this. I'm sorry if that's gone way off on a rant, but these issues, everyone needs to really wake up, because it's our daughters who are going to be at risk. It's your daughters. The next generation, your daughters, when they invite 1 million refugees into Syria and they give them passports, they can all come here. And next year, another 3 million. Over the next 5 years, we're going to see 20 million Muslims invading Europe. Not invading them with tanks or guns, getting invited in. Invited in. Whilst we've got homeless people on our own streets, homeless people, homeless British people, British armed forces, ex-members of our armed forces are starving, they're cold. A baby died in a car in England because they didn't have a home. You're inviting refugees in. And I'm not against genuine refugees. I'm just saying, get your priorities in place. Your job, our government's leaders across Europe, their job is to protect, first and foremost, for the rights and the protection of our citizens. Not Libya's, not Syria's. Do you know, another example, Bassingbourn Barracks. We bring, you can't help these people. We bring Libyan soldiers over to train them up. Do you know how many of them got done for rape? They raped a man. They went out and nicked bicycles and went and raped a man in a park whilst we're training them up. They all had to be sent home because they kept raping women. Wake up. It's a whole different culture and a whole different way of thinking. And people need to get their head around that. I'll see you on 6th of February. Let's talk about Cologne. Well, it's not just Cologne, though. New Year's Eve. It took 5 days for the BBC to start reporting on it. But New Year's Eve, 100 women. Some of them raped. Some of them robbed. Some of them scarred for life after firecrackers were stuck down their tops. One girl had her knickers ripped off her as she walked through the city centre. So, by a group of 1,000 men. 1,000 Arab Muslim men who are refugees. The police officer on the scene, who 8 of them were arrested, said they were refugees. Okay, but yet now the German politicians and the press are coming out saying we have no idea who they are. I'll put this article up there. Yeah, they have no idea who it is, but it's not refugees. Well, if you don't know who it is, how do you know it's not refugees? It's Arab Muslim men. And what we've found out now is that this didn't just happen in Cologne. It happened in Stuttgart. It happened in Frankfurt. It happened in Dusseldorf. It happened across Germany. And I'd like to say it's not just Germany. It's like 100 women, 40 women in Stuttgart, terrorised. And Germany are coming out and their politicians are saying, we're shocked at what has happened. Shocked. Why are you shocked?